but we don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-Rig Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-Rig champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-Rig Kane show. The 6-Rig Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the 6 Rings Kane Show. Vish here with Blue, DJ, and a man speeding across the alligator alley right now, Jazz Santana. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Yeah. Good.
According to DJ, this is a much better looking version of myself, so I'll take it. Whatever it takes.
It's a good portrait. You know, the black. It's a good color of black. The little.
Hey, you know what? I was always told I had a face for radio, so I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
DJ, since I don't know if Jazz can see us, is rocking a sick Blink-182 shirt, so you're missing out over here.
Oh yeah.
All right, before we get into it, we're gonna talk a little bit about a recruiting update here. The Canes, Jazz, I'm gonna mute you because we're getting a little bit. At least I'm getting a little bit of static.
I'll mute myself. No worries.
Okay. So we're gonna talk a little bit about about some of the recruiting updates, and then hopefully we should get some schedule news imminently here. ACC is promising to release the schedule around 9. But before that, our now longtime sponsor, I would say, of the show. It's time for some You Break, We'll Fix. So, have you ever run over a pothole and then it causes a problem with your steering? You losing air in your tires pretty consistently. It might not be your tires. It could be your wheels. And You Break, We'll Fix could be your solution. You Break, We'll Fix is Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company with over 20 years of experience. It's located in North Miami. They'll do quick repairs. If they can't fix it immediately, they'll get you out there with a free loaner, so you're not carless. We all know the public transportation in Miami leaves a little bit to be desired, so you're gonna need a car. And also, if your wheels are looking a little dinged up, maybe they're not, have that showroom shine to it. You Break, We'll Fix can refinish them. It's not only is it cheaper than replacing them, you can also customize your finish. They do in-house powder coating, machining, polishing. It'll make it look like new. So contact Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 and on all socials at You Break Wheel Fix. And if you mention 5 Reasons Sports, you'll get 5.5% off your next repair. That's You Break Wheel Fix powder coating and wheel repair at 305-748-0112. And they're located at 1848 Northeast 143rd Street in North Miami. You Break, We'll Fix. Again, offer code 5 Reasons. Mention 5 Reasons, and they'll give you 5.5% off your next repair. All right, guys. I know last week Jazz and I did a little bit of an earlier show, given the going against the championship game. Not we made a business decision. I don't know if it was a smart one or not, but I feel like most people that watch the show would also have been watching Ohio State dominate Notre Dame and send Al Golden running to the NFL is the way I'm spinning that story. But anyway, let's get into it then. So there were a lot of updates. Obviously, we talked last week about, on the show about the Xavier Lucas situation, but we haven't talked about that or any of the myriad of recruits that the Canes have gotten since then. So I'll start with you, Blue. Is there someone off the top of your head you want to dig into here?
No, I haven't heard anybody, that lately. I mean, I know that there's a bunch of kids that are still visiting. We're opening things back up. The colleges could go back out again, as Mike Norville is running up the recruiting bill at FSU, flying helicopters everywhere. Wow. I just, I was going to put my 2 cents in since I wasn't here last week on the Lucas situation.
Yeah, go for it. You and DJ should definitely do that.
Yeah, and somebody who I had an opportunity to watch, back when he started at Deerfield, and then he went to Dillard and then Heritage. So he made the rounds. He's always been a really, really good football player, great student. I kind of found out early about this when Miami started pursuing him, and there was a little bit of pushback. I think I came on here and said, and I think I told you guys that I was on a phone call early in the process where some of the people who were trying to bring him here were kind of blown away that there was going to be any pushback at all, since legally he really wasn't, bound there. I mean, he hadn't played a game. He hasn't taken any money. So, but he's an asset, obviously, to this program, kind of a plug and play guy, because he's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of knowledge, physical kid. He's the type of guy that Miami's got to kind of strike on a little bit. And certainly, I saw today there were a few, if Miami started the season today, what the roster or what the lineup would look like, and is it deep enough to make a run? And they obviously it's all speculation. I know that Ray was put in the slot, but I definitely think after a good couple of months they're going to see that Malachi Tony is going to probably be more of a playmaker, in that role. And then but I saw where Luke Nickel was the backup as they had him penciled in. If that's the case, you're not going to have a third-team quarterback that's going to be here.
I agree.
So then Emory, talking with some people, that Emory will probably go if he doesn't earn that second spot. If he earns a second spot, then I'm sure he's going to stay.
You think so I assumed he was gone, period. So you think he'll stay if he's the backup?
I think
he's not. When's he going to ever play?
Well, here's the thing, too. You're going in the situation, this year with a quarterback who's been injury prone, and he's going to be coming off an injury. And to me, that would make me enough if I was a backup to stay, because at the worst, you're going to learn, one more year. But I think if they if Nickel, you know what, they're not going to put anybody over anybody. They're going to have to earn it, obviously. But that's my feeling. After spring, if he's in that backup role, Vish, I think he stays.
You know what I think is going to happen? And I think that Emory is here to put some good tape on in the spring, because Carson Beck is not going to be ready for spring football.
No, not at all.
He's not going to be ready for the spring game. So you're going to have your QB1 right off the gate is probably going to be Emory for that game. So I expect him to come out and try to put out some good tape and hit the portal and go somewhere with some good tape. I think that's going to be the plan for him. Like you mentioned, I think Luke Nickel is probably the future of this program. I mean, anything can happen. We've seen it happen before. And then you've got, your QB3 is it's going to be Judd Anderson or somebody else like that. So, but it's an interesting dynamic. It's going to be interesting to see, Blue, what you said, because Carson Beck is coming off of an injury. And so how does that, play out for Emory? If he goes somewhere, can he play at the Power 4 level? Sure. But I think that in the springtime at this point, he may end up going to a smaller school, something like a Group of 5 school, or maybe something smaller, and kind of earning his stripes there, cutting his teeth a little bit, and then maybe transferring back to a bigger school. So it's going to be interesting to see what Emory does. That might be the best route for him. But if he stays and he learns a little bit more under Carson Beck and this program, maybe he does, become the starter in a year from now. Who knows? But I think that at this point, not only Miami fans, but maybe the coaches have kind of seen what they're going to get out of a kid like Emory Williams here with this type of, this type of scheme, this type of program, and he may be moving on. But I think the best thing for him is he's going to hopefully he puts out some really good tape. And so, and he goes to a good school and he balls out. So I wish nothing but the best for him, but I think that's probably the plan for him moving forward.
Yeah, so I guess, Blue, what you were saying is you think he'll stick around as long as doesn't get because there's a better opportunity to play here, given it, Beck, if Beck isn't ready or if Beck gets banged up, if he's the next in line, there's a better opportunity to play here than somewhere else.
After talking to a couple of college coaches and, some people down at the University of Miami, I think that's a game plan. He's going to get an opportunity to get that second spot or, play. I mean, like I said, there's no guarantee that Beck's coming back 100%. He's not, when we last left him, he's could barely throw. So we'll see.
I did see him at the women's basketball game yesterday. His arm was out of whatever.
There's a surprise.
It was him, Ferguson. Jake Ferguson was there as well, and about 5 other people in total. So not a big crowd out there, but they kind of put him up on the jumbotron. He wasn't wearing any kind of because last time we saw him was a couple of weeks ago. He was still in the cast. Right? Yeah, it was off. He was able to throw up to you with both hands, which is good. So he seems to be progressing at least. But to Jazz's point, he's definitely not gonna play in the spring. So and Emory you can't enter the portal now anyway. So
no, that's
he's definitely gonna stay through the spring and at the very least be the starting quarterback for the spring. And we saw Jakari Brown do that last year and then transfer to a Big 12 school. So there are opportunities. DJ, do you have thoughts on this and on Xavier Lucas?
Well, as far as the quarterback situation goes, I agree with you guys. I think the best thing for Emory maybe is to just stick it out this spring, see if you can, get some tape, get some film on you for other schools, because schools do take advantage of this, spring window. And I think it's important for him to just kind of at least establish a baseline before, the next step is, fall practices, preseason camp. So it would be good for him to, sort of establish that baseline. And then on the Lucas thing, it's really interesting. I actually got to watch him a little bit last year when Wisconsin played Nebraska, and he's a very physical corner, similar, in my opinion, to Charles Brantley. And you see a theme in the secondary now. You have Charles Brantley, you have Xavier Lucas, you have guys that bring that edge at the secondary spot. And that's something that was missing last year. So it's kind of good to see that cohesiveness as far as transfer portal commits, that physicality on the part of both players, both Big Ten players. And you can definitely sense that there's a plan that the Hurricanes want to attack the secondary with physical players, physical corners. And I really like what Lucas brings.
Yeah, it's a good point on the cohesion. I do want to get everyone's take on kind of how the secondary is stacking up in a second. But first, answering Melissa's question, I'm Vishman. You don't need the last name. Everyone knows who it is. I'm like Seal and Prince and LeBron. You just say one name, everyone knows. You don't need the last name. Oh, boy.
Here we go.
We haven't said Vish in Miami.
See what you did?
There's no other Vish. Come on. No, but more serious. Actually, Jazz can't even see the screen. Melissa asked why my last name wasn't in the intro, probably because try to rhyme that with something. But in any event, I do want to get everyone's take on the secondary. Jazz, maybe we'll start with you. How do you see the secondary shaping up now? Because I think we're probably done. I know everyone's still thinking we need linebackers, and I think we'll probably dip back into the portal in the next window for that. But secondary feels pretty well shaped at this point with all the additions. So Jazz, start with you, and then we'll go around the horn here a little bit on how you feel the secondary is shaping up next year.
You said starting with me?
Yep, starting with you.
Cool. Yeah, no, from a secondary perspective, I think that, unless there's any, anybody that leaves in, to the portal, and it's happened, right? Because a few years ago, I think, or even last year, Savion Riley left after committing, playing here in the spring. And then the year before that, the kid that came in from, I don't remember the school now, West Virginia or something like that, committed, or one of these Big Ten schools committed, and then he left also. So it's happened. So it could very well be that, you know, someone comes in and doesn't pan out, doesn't fit well with the scheme, with the system. Remember, you got a new defensive coordinator as well, Heatherman, that came in pretty much after everybody was already committed. So, you know, that could kind of, you know, switch some things around. Those guys have some guys that they may be looking at in the portal in the spring as well. So there's a lot of things that could happen. But if it stays the way it is, you went from it being, a hindrance to your defense to potentially, you know, one of the best secondaries in the ACC. So I think that, you know, I think they're pretty loaded up there right now. They've got big physical guys, as DJ mentioned, and they've got some guys that are ball hawks in the safety position in Poyser and Zaquan, and even some of the guys behind them, Markeith, Dylan Day. They've got some ballers back there, man. And so I think that, you know, if all goes well, no injuries, God forbid any injuries happen or anything like that, I think it's probably one of the strongest positions at the defensive on the defensive side of the football. But yeah, I mean, look, these guys are going to have to go get some linebackers and maybe another defensive lineman per se, because David Blay is a stud from all things that are being said about David Blay. But you may need to get one more guy there to add some depth to the defensive line, and then at linebacker, I think that, you know, losing obviously Kiko and some other guys. No, I guess I don't want to say no big deal, but you definitely need some big guys. You need a leader at the linebacker position. That's going to be the biggest thing. And so I think
Jazz, you didn't get the joy of the face blue vein when you mentioned some of those guys we had lost. He does not feel. I'm going to read between the lines there, Blue, and you don't feel like that was much of a loss.
I think that's nice.
You know, I kind of play on what Jazz said, and you know, I agree if everything falls into place. But you got to remember too, Jazz, that the secondary, while it was not great, it got a lot worse because the front seven was terrible. So if they could get some play, as you said, linebacker play. You know, I seem to think last year when we got Barrow and all those guys, you said the same thing that you just said about Blay. So let's get a few more of those guys in there and let's see what happens. But I definitely think no matter how quality the secondary is with O.J. Federico and Zaquan Patterson and, you know, players like that you still have to have some play up front. I mean, especially when you play teams like, you know, Florida and Notre Dame and FSU and in the entire ACC schedule, you're going to have production, as we saw. You know, everything looked great when you played against, you know, Ball State and underman Florida at the time, you know, and at FAMU. But it's going to be a consistent thing every week where your front seven's going to have to win battles. So your secondary, no matter how talented it is, isn't going to have to be on an island every play. So I agree with you potentially, you know, with guys like Brantley, with some of the kids that they brought in, you know, as well, and some of the returners. I mean, I think Markeith Williams started to, step up a little bit last year when needed to. The Dylan Day kid certainly has a lot of potential, but I still think that everything's going to revolve around what happens up front. I mean, going to get it back a healthy Bain. Obviously, that's going to be important. How does Wesley Basaint play this year? He's going to need to step up. So there's a lot of question marks, but at the same time, a lot of optimism because you go in actually in spring with a better and more talented secondary Jazz than you did last year at this time. So that's important. And
this time there's no time to waste. You don't have 4 cupcake games at the beginning of the season. You go right into it. You play Notre Dame, then you've got Bethune or something like that, but then you play USF and Florida, and you go right into the ACC after that, after a bye. So you really don't have a lot of cupcakes at the beginning. On paper, it's a tougher schedule. Who knows? Because a lot of things could change from here to then, obviously, with personnel, but you go right into it.
Yeah, I mean, it is 8 home games this year instead of 6 last year. I think that still gets overlooked on last year's schedule. Winning on the road is hard. And inexplicably, the Kansas side to play at USF last year, and so they loaded up on extra road games they probably didn't need to. wear and tear of doing all that, flying out to California, flying to upstate New York. I think it probably caught up with them a little at the end. So I think having the 8 home games is better. I mean, last year, it opened at UF and one team was ready and the other one wasn't. So, you never know how these things go. There's a lot of turnover at Notre Dame. That's a home game. So, which is on a Sunday, actually. It's the Labor Day
Sunday night.
Yeah, we're going to get in the schedule in a little bit. First, love to get DJ's thoughts. Like, do you think the secondary is you think we're done there? You think we might still try to add more? And how do you see that shaping up? As well as kind of the rest of the defense, since we kind of drifted there as well.
I think we're good in the secondary. I think when you talk about Heffernan and his experience from Minnesota, then you have Brantley from Michigan State and Lucas from Wisconsin. There is some familiarity there. I mean, all those teams, played each other. If not last year, then the year before. So there is familiarity in terms of the Big Ten component of it. And then when you add the front seven, I think we didn't see what we wanted out of the front seven last year. I don't anticipate that again this year. I expect them to have a much better year, but, time will tell. But I do think the secondary is a lot stronger than it was, just last year. I think there's going to be more cohesion. I think it's going to be a better overall defensive scheme, and that will help everybody. I always have thought that corner's best friend is a good front seven and a solid scheme, and I think Miami will finally have that this year because last year, quite plainly, was just an absolute mess, and I don't think that's going to be the case this year.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And the good thing what you said, Vish, about the home and away games, you don't leave the state of Florida till October 11th.
Yeah.
So that's another
positive. At the earliest.
Yeah.
We don't know how the rest of there might be more home games. I know, Jazz, I know you got to leave as you journey across the center of the state through the swampland. Any parting thoughts before we say bye to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep account of how many Gators are run over here. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. No, just schedule looks fun. We'll see what happens there, but can't wait for the season to get going. But please don't forget to mention baseball, baby. We got to go. CCH is driving me crazy. I went to a practice this past week, and I'm excited for baseball. But we'll talk about that next week. But that's all I got for you guys. I'll let you guys up later.
All right, drive safe, man.
Stop in Immokalee. I'll see you later.
Maybe don't stop in Immokalee, but anyway.
See Edgerrin James Boulevard.
That's the only reason I know the name of that place because of Edgerrin James. So I did just look, and the schedule release show runs from 9 to 11 p.m. So I don't know that we're going to get the drop.
Which means the schedule will be released at 10:50. And
I mean, I don't know if they're going to do alphabetical, which wouldn't necessarily.
Are they looking at the dates? Is that what you're waiting for? Because they're scheduled.
They're going to release the whole schedule, dates, timing for the whole season. For on a 2-hour show, which is simulcast on ESPN2 and ACC Network, apparently. So as I just looked to see if they dropped it, I saw the show announcement. I'm like, oops, we miscalculated. This might be a next year activity. However, we do have 3 games. We actually have 5 games locked in. 3 of note. So we've got let's start with Notre Dame. We briefly touched on this. That Sunday night opener. Yeah. I'll start with you on that, DJ. What are your thoughts on kind of opening the season? That's it's not a Saturday game. It's kind of the stage is open for the Canes and Irish there. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an old school college football rivalry. I absolutely love it. Granted, Notre Dame will look a lot different, but I love the way Marcus Freeman coaches Notre Dame, and I hate Notre Dame. I mean, but it's hard not to be at least kind of praise Marcus Freeman for the job he's done. So I think it's going to be a really solid game. I think both teams will be ready, and this will be a good test for Miami to see where they're at. I kind of like the harder games to start the season only because it forces teams to be on their toes and be ready, and no easy, coasting type of games and then get into the meat of the schedule. You get tested early, then you get into ACC play. So I really like it. It's 2, classic programs, 2 blue bloods, on a Sunday night. You can't ask for much more than that. So in that respect, I'm really excited for this game, and it'll be a great test for Miami to see, what they can do against a nationally revered program like Notre Dame.
Yeah, Blue, your thoughts on kind of on opening the season home Notre Dame on a Sunday?
Yeah, well, as from an exposure standpoint, it's going to have, if you remember, even though that Florida was supposed to be down, by the time they kicked that damn game off, there was a lot of excitement. So it's the old rivalry, Notre Dame, Miami from way back. And it's going to be a nationally televised ABC game, ESPN type of game, and everyone's going to watch it. And it's going to be on throughout the nation. It's going to be the only game in town, and that's gonna definitely set.
The last time Notre Dame visited the Canes didn't go their way, so
well, let's hope it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be electric, and I know, like you said, there's gonna be, because I was at the Notre Dame game against Penn State, and there was obviously a lot of Notre Dame fans. It was a electric type of atmosphere, and I expect it to be again. And I mean, I don't think between that game and obviously the game against the Gators and Louisville, they're gonna have some pretty good home games. They're gonna have some potential for good sellouts, and something we haven't even the game like having Stanford and Syracuse at home. I mean, those are going to be type of games that I think that if, I'm not trying to tell everybody what to do, but I mean, if this was the year, I'd buy my season tickets, because you got, like you said, you got a attractive home schedule, and either, and the thing is too, for Bethune-Cookman, they have a lot of kids from South Florida, so that would be the game. And USF has kids, so I think every home game is going to be, I think it's going to be a happening. Obviously not going to sell out for USF or Bethune, but I think they're going to have some pretty, comparative to this last year, where you had Duke and a lot of people didn't really care about that. I think you're going to have a lot of excitement, and for the reasons you said, Vish, I mean, they got some exciting players coming in. Plus, the portal's still not finished, and they have two top national recruiting classes that are going to start tapping into a lot of those kids like Josiah Trader, and they're going to use Malachi Tonys, and you got Fletcher, and you got all these guys who've been part of that last class. So you sell a lot of things. You sell the local, where everybody goes, oh, nobody ever goes to Miami from South Florida anymore, and that's not true, because Miami's got a lot of marquee kids. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait till we do our preview show, and I think I got some. I'm looking at all the scheduled games.
I think we split the difference last year, right?
Yeah.
I had the undefeated. Y'all had 7 wins.
I think I had 9-3.
I was 9-3.
Okay.
Or actually 10-3. So I kind of finished right there again. So I might be a bad omen with my pick this year.
Well, so you got to go for the 12-0 then.
Hey, I got to do a Vish.
It's going 11-1 until Jazz picked us to lose to Louisville. I was like, I can't pick the exact same thing as him. So I rolled the dice, and it was looking good right up until it wasn't. So
yeah,
I felt pretty good going into Atlanta there that I nailed it, but it came apart there at the end. So the other you mentioned, Blue, you mentioned Notre Dame, Bethune-Cookman, USF, then Florida. Those are the first 4 games consecutive Saturdays starting, or actually Notre Dame's on Sunday, as we mentioned, then consecutive Saturdays after that, then bye week, and then travel to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. So those are the first 5 games. That one has been announced. They announced everyone's first ACC game. So what are you going to start with you again, DJ, on this? What are your thoughts on kind of, it's front loaded, right? That's 3 of the first 5 games are your 3 biggest rivals on the schedule, just in a row out of 5 games. That's a pretty interesting way to start the season.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting way to start the season, and I kind of like having the rivals a little bit later in the season just to kind of break up the monotony of it, especially, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but in past years when Miami's gone on a little bit of a downward slide, you kind of have that rivalry game to suck you back in. But, I think this schedule is going to be a really good test. And you talk about Florida State as one of the games. They're a little bit of a mess right now, but I remember watching that quarterback last year. I thought he had potential on what was a very difficult to watch, I guess, Florida State team. But I think when you look at the schedule and you look at to me, I know we just talked about it, but to me, that Notre Dame game is going to be huge, and I think it could set the tone for the rest of the season because you also have the debut of Carson Beck. You have the chance to make a statement against a national championship finalist, and then if you win that game, then that automatically gives you confidence to go on to, the tougher part of the schedule. Now you already have one win against a quality team in Notre Dame. Now you feel you can, really kind of take on the rest of your schedule. If you lose that game, obviously that's disappointing, but a win there would be huge. And, you talk about the Florida State game later in the season. That's another, marquee game. And I honestly see Florida State being better, this coming season than last year. So I think this is a really good schedule to see where this team is at. There's not a lot of cupcakes because, as we saw last year, the ACC is a pretty even conference. Not the best conference, but a pretty even conference. Like even the middle teams kind of even out. So I think overall this schedule is going to be a really good barometer of where this program is at.
Yeah. And you were just talking about being front loaded. You have a potential closing Pitt, SMU, and Virginia Tech,
Yeah.
which is not.
Right,
Which is not gonna be-
the road games in conference are FSU, which we know is October 1st. The other three are, as Blue mentioned, at Pitt, at SMU, at Virginia Tech, which we all know difficult it is to play Virginia Tech. So
Yeah.
even if they're not good, that's not a fun game. And then the other home games, we're getting a little revenge on Syracuse there, and then NC State and Louisville are the other. So that is your schedule.
Great schedule. You know what? You can't argue with it, Vish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a top-notch schedule.
If the Canes are making the ACC championship next year, they're earning it. That's for damn sure. Because that is a tough. Because these schedules are not bad. We learned that this year. These schedule when it came down to who was in Charlotte, it turns out that the Canes played by far the toughest schedule out of them, SMU and Clemson. You still got to take care of business on the field. They didn't do that, so no excuses. But it looks like another year of having that happen. Because you don't really know who's. I mean, honestly, it gets to like towards the end of the season, you finally realize who's good. Because you recall in the middle of last year, Pitt was undefeated, and everyone's well, it's a tough game, and they lost like their last 7 games, and barely they missed it. I think they end up 6-6 or 7-6 or something after the bowl game or something. They went a huge losing streak, so it turned out that they actually weren't good. But as people were beating them early in there, I'm like, oh man, that's a good win, and it turns out. Actually, Georgia Tech, Syracuse are way better than them. It just didn't look like that during the time that they played. Because remember, they blew out Syracuse.
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech could be a problem in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and the Canes did miss them. So they've been a thorn in the Canes side for quite a while, dating back to the Kyle Wright era. So I will not be sad to not see them on the schedule. I'll tell you that much. So.
And then you look at a game like SMU and how dynamic Rhett Lashley's offenses are and just how creative he can be. I mean, we've seen it firsthand here, right? And I think that's going to be an exciting game too, just because of how well they played last year. And I get it's not going to be the same team, but Rhett Lashley always seems to have something up his sleeve offensively.
The one thing I'm not worried about is Chris Johnson running a kickoff back.
If that happens, I will leave.
I give up, man. I give up. I have a bunch of my college roommate lives in Dallas. I'm going to that game. I will walk out of that stadium if I see that happen. I can't. That's too much. I've seen so.
Have you ever been down there, Vish, to that stadium?
Great stadium.
Not
Great
to SMU's campus stadium. No,
I have.
I've been to the Cowboys stadium, but they're not playing it there.
I was there, DJ. I saw a high school game there. I saw Miami Northwestern against South Lake Carroll.
Oh, wow.
When Miami Northwestern had all those kids that came to Miami that year, Sean Spence and Streeter and all those guys, and it was one of the best atmospheres. It's in a really ritzy area. It's in Highland Park where. There's it's a pretty nice area.
Yeah, and SMU is very much the Dallas equivalent of the University of Miami being in Coral Gables and the upscale part of it. And it's like this is just the
Pony Express.
Yeah,
it's not where they back then. I believe they played their home games in the Cotton Bowl. But this right on campus. They got like 40,000 at the most, if I remember. And it's right down, in an area where there's a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars. So beforehand, people, before and after, it's really good college an atmosphere. And you know what, you were just I want to answer this question. He was talking
I'll
about,
read it out in case people listen to the audio.
Aiden Pouncey. Yeah, we got people. Aiden's really, really good. I think he's transferring this over the next couple of weeks to the First Academy in Orlando, where everybody else has seemed to go. He's a big time kid. Everybody's after him for good reason. He's a safety that has really good corner skills. He's he's got really loose hips, and he's fast, and he's got good speed. I mean, he's got good length and for his coverage. And I've watched him a few times. I like him a lot. But like I said, I think he's making the move from this last weekend. Excuse me. We had a combine yesterday up at Orlando Boone High School. So I talked to a lot of people, about him and a couple of the other kids. We talked a little bit about some of the incoming guys like Buchanan and, some of the linemen that are Wilkerson and some of the players, Darian Coleman, who had a monster last couple of weeks at quarterback.
What are your thoughts on him? Because I know when we previously talked about him, you said he probably need to, mature a little bit as a passer. Everything we saw the last couple of weeks was people raving about his passing. Is that maturation happened, or still growth needing to happen there? What are your thoughts?
Still got that next year, which is important. It's not like he's there now or coming on now, where I think when he gets there, he's always, he's going to have that type of arm strength. He's a kid that's really matured quite a bit. I think he's one of these guys with a really, really good arm. He's smart. He reads defenses very well, and he works hard. So, and he's the type of kid, like I said, this past year, when his first year, he came to Orlando Jones as kind of like a second team kid, beat out the first team kid. But at the same time, this is a lot of responsibility. He drove to school every day, an hour and a half one way. So he's a responsible kid, a team leader, and he'll be here next January, and people are going to really, to have him and Luke Nickel on board. And those are two guys that you build your future around and not have to go hunting for, quarterbacks every year, which I'm not a big fan of. But I understand that sometimes you have to do what you got to do to make your roster as strong as possible. But I think, with Darian and with Luke, those are two guys that are definitely going to elevate that position for a while, and just got to hold on to them. In this day and age, it's no, set in stone type of thing. And we see that too. With the kid Moss, who was at USC, it's now at Louisville. I mean, this is a guy that, if you remember, USC was in that Will Howard sweepstakes. They were in that, and then all of a sudden, Miller Moss had a 6-touchdown game in the bowl game, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh, wait a minute! Why are we going to do this when we have a guy?" So he goes this year, and then by the end of the year, he's not the quarterback. So it's ever changing, you start on day one, and as you guys look last year with Florida, and that's the one thing that I tell people, look how quick Florida's season turned around, from Miami just wiping the floor with them in the opening game in front of everybody on national TV and showcasing Miami as a power, to the end of the year when Florida was a pretty good football team. So it's a long season. It's 15, 16, 17 weeks. If you kind of run the gamut, like Ohio State did, they played 16 games, right?
Yeah.
16 games, 18 weeks. That's a long time. That's nearly 5 months of football. And, so.
Yeah, and the maximum I believe you can play is 17.
Yeah, with the conference.
Because they didn't make the conference championship game, right. So because they blew that game to Michigan at the end of the season. So, so they theoretically, if you go to your conference championship game and lose it and drop into a wild card, you'd play 4 rounds, so you could play 17 games. Yeah.
Right. A lot of football for. That's
more than an NFL schedule. It's an NFL schedule.
Yeah, same thing, basically.
It's an NFL schedule.
Yeah,
and a lot for college. Yeah.
And there's been some things that that were tabled those last college meetings about there being an exhibition game to start the season off, but exhibition type of game like they do in the NFL, but have like it's a scrimmage with another school, college, probably a week before the season started. Which or get, I think they said like get 4 schools at one place and just scrimmage to try to get a feel of what you got against some top competition, which I wouldn't mind seeing.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I worry about the players and how much they're asking them.
Oh, well, they're asking them a lot now.
I know, but I just think just constantly adding to it, and
yeah, well. Schools become secondary to a lot of these guys. You know that.
I mean, I think it. I mean, if we're being honest, it already was. But
I mean,
more
I think
so now.
Stop pretending that it wasn't.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying that you guys are, but
we're putting just extra. I mean, these are not. I know a lot of them get paid now. They're still not professional athletes, and there is another step for them to take in their career. It's not the NFL, and especially like you start talking about running backs, wear and tear on the body, and all that. Blue, that would be potentially an 18th game. That is just, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, the NFL, because they added so many games, like they don't even play in the preseason. Really, if you're like one of the starters or a key player,
right,
you don't play because it used to be, you know, you'd play some of the games and they would, you know, let the backups play out. Now they're just like, nope, the starters are not playing any of these. I'd rather lose the first game.
So to me, they're wastes. I would much rather see what the NFL does now. Like, you know, like Miami and Atlanta will get together, or Miami and Tampa Bay will get together for 3 days. And I like that better. You know, I mean, as it is, I mean, they charge the fans full price for those exhibition games. And I mean, if you're buying a $135 ticket for an exhibition game to see Johnny ninth round, you know, I mean, to me, that's like baseball spring training used to be, where you'd see, you know, back in my day, you'd see like Brooks Robinson for like an inning or two, and then he'd be running in the outfield. And but that was when baseball games were like $3, $2. Now the baseball games, you got to buy a $30 ticket for spring training to see a guy with number 94.
I will say that a little bit different for spring training is it is in a different location. It's targeting a different fan base.
Yeah.
Like the NFL, it's basically extortion. Oh, you want these season tickets? You're paying full price for this preseason game as part of the package. Yeah, even though no one wants to watch this. So I think it's a little bit. I do think spring training at least gives the opportunity for another fan. But like if you're a fan of one of these teams and you live in Florida or Arizona, you can watch them play when you might not get an opportunity to do that. So
I miss the college game program. And, you know, because I collect a lot of that stuff, and they don't really have those anymore. So going to the Orange Bowl this year, their program was the size of War and Peace. I mean, it probably, you got a hernia carrying that damn thing around, but it costs $20 now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I
got. I'm surprised they even have them. Like, I feel like
I loved collecting old programs.
I know. I feel like
it's not show and tell, but I'll show it to you.
All right.
Yeah, why not?
Hopefully, there is a show and tell coming later.
I'm just happy that the programs are.
Look at the size of this sucker.
Wow.
Jeez.
This is a big ass book.
That's worth the $20. It's got a nice cover.
Yeah, that is actually. I mean,
it is. It is worth. I mean, they got a lot of good stuff inside too. But I'm just saying, it's been a long time, you know, since we've had game programs. And
I mean, it's kind of everything, though, right? Boy, this is like the biggest old man yelling at cloud segment ever. But it's
but I got a good show for you today.
No, but myself too. Like when I was younger, you know, getting that physical game ticket and like, oh, I loved this game. Now it's like in my phone and it deletes itself out after the game is over. And I'm just like,
I still have like a ticket book. I have a ticket book.
I used to get like ticket books, like you said, or just the physical ticket. Like that's like that itself is a souvenir. And now,
it's great.
I know.
And now for like a program, they're like, scan this QR code. I'm like, I actually would love
right.
You used to get the season tickets in the mail, and they would come in like sheets and like
and they'd have a different for each game. They'd have like a different player on it.
Yeah. We really do sound like old men on this thing.
I mean, those were like souvenirs, though.
Yeah,
I mean, those souvenirs
I got
like the ticket itself, and
I have a lot of my old stubs. Yeah.
Now it's
look at you, DJ. We're gonna have to be calling on you now for show and tell.
Oh yeah, no, I have a bunch of stuff back here actually. I got.
But I got the ultimate today when we get to it. The
Oh, boy.
ultimate show and tell.
Well, let me do a quick check. I believe the last update I saw was they're releasing the schedule. Oh, we got a game in here. Hold on.
Oh, we do?
Oh,
We got Louisville we're hosting Louisville on October 17th.
let me make sure that's a Saturday. I'm assuming here.
That is unfortunately wait, let me actually make sure that is. It looks
Yep.
like okay, so we're
It's
getting
the,
reports in
4th, the 11th.
actually
No,
that might be
that's
a
a
Friday.
Friday.
Ooh.
Oh my god. Okay, so this is now the schedule has gone off the rails because so the schedule is Notre Dame on a Sunday, Bethune-Cookman Saturday, then USF Saturday after that, Florida Saturday bye week, Florida State second bye week, and then Louisville on a Friday.
Wow.
Ooh. I
So
don't know
that's
if I
what they
like
released so
that.
far. They're doing it week by week. So the Canes have their 2 bye weeks, week 5 and week 7, with only one game in between.
I don't like that at all.
That's
Actually,
awful. Whoever thought that was a good idea to have one game in a 3-week period?
no.
It should have done
No.
better. They can do better than that. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And so now that's problematic for many reasons. One of which they're going to play one game in a 3-week period and then have to play after that 6 games in a row.
6 games in a row. Yeah.
6 games in a row. That's not, and then
No.
assuming they don't make to Charlotte, it would be 7 games in a row while everyone else gets rest in the middle. That's a
thanks.
rock of bleep.
Yeah,
there.
it's not an ideal slime,
yeah.
but you know what? I'm
It's
sure,
also gonna be tough content-wise for
sure
us.
Miami's not the only one with a screwed up schedule. I mean,
Yeah, but I don't think they needed to do the bye weeks like that. Okay, and then oh man, so this is rolling out now. All right, so I got Louisville on the 17th, and then the next game is hosting Stanford on the 25th, which is obviously
that's
the
a
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
So they've now so they're just getting rid of all this. So not only are the Canes going to play all those games in a row, like all of November is going to be on the road. Reading through this because that's 2 more home games. So that's 6 home games released and only 1 road game.
This is not a good schedule so far.
No, it's not. There's 3. There's so what we're still waiting to see. So we got Stanford and Louisville off the board here. So only home. So the home games left are NC State and Syracuse, and the road games are Pitt, SMU, and Virginia Tech.
I don't like that road schedule right there.
No,
No.
and I'm hoping Virginia Tech comes off soon because I definitely don't want to go there at the end of the season. All right, they have gone to commercial apparently as I get updates.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Just stay live while they roll this out, even if it goes past the.
All right, we can certainly stay live if
I'll be on here, yeah.
All right, we got so they are making some progress. I thought they were going to hold it till 11, but we're already into week. We're through 9 weeks, so and so the things left are the 4 November games, which will be. Again, it'll be the home games are Syracuse and NC. Actually, it's 5 games: Syracuse, NC State at home, and then at Pitt, at SMU, and at Virginia Tech left to be revealed on this schedule.
SMU at home would have been cool, just to.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know when we get the return game because it's not in 26 either. Because we talked about this last week as well, but TBD is obviously went to SMU, but they said. Last week said he's not healthy to play next year anyway, so they're gonna get him a medical.
So he's gonna play another year, like 2026.
He's on the Cam McCormick plan here, and 2026 is when he's going to play his final year.
Alrighty,
but we actually don't play them that year, so we will not be seeing, unless we see them in Charlotte. We will not be seeing him.
At what point do you hang it up?
So you went to the game yesterday?
Yeah, the women's game. Yeah, they finally won. One of our basketball teams won.
They beat SMU, huh?
Yeah, they beat SMU.
I saw Haley Cavender's like 5th in the ACC in scoring.
Yeah, she scored 32 yesterday.
Damn.
She's playing at a really high level. The team just struggled to hold leads. Blew several big leads this year, and so they're struggling a bit there.
Wow.
Hung on yesterday. We're up 18 in the 4th quarter. SMU cut it to 3, and I was about to
no.
I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do if they blow this. But they hung on, hit some key free throws, and managed to see that one out. So
I saw
First win
that.
since
I
December
watched some of
20th.
the game. Tamara James is the color announcer.
Yeah. Yeah, she and Josie tend to call it, except I think Josie was still in California from the
Oh,
because he had gone out because the men had done their Bay Area swing.
okay.
Stanford and then Cal. The men actually made it to overtime, so that's progress.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then of course lost. They're now 0-9 in conference, but they did get to overtime.
What a turnaround, huh?
Yeah,
2 years ago, they're sitting there at like 11-1 in the conference.
Yeah, no, won the conference and made the Final Four 2 years ago. And it's been a rough ride since then. But the women, I mean, big change for basketball now with the expansion is not everyone makes the ACC tournament. So
Oh yeah, well,
yeah. Well, the women are borderline and playing their way in.
they've
the
lost
men are-
4 out of the last 5.
They had
six.
lost 7 in a row until they won
Oh,
until they
7 in
won
a
on
row. Jesus.
Sunday. But the ACC and women's is a really tough conference. They have some winnable games coming up.
Yeah,
including Virginia
okay.
on Thursday, so they can still at least make it to the ACC tournament. The men are probably not going to win a game this year. This is why. Okay, I think Jorge's probably talking about.
He's right.
Yeah,
The
no, for
schedule.
sure.
It's going to put a strain. Those 6 straight games are
Yeah.
going to put a strain
Yep.
on this line.
That's why it's also important to be able to run the football and shorten some of these games, frankly, because
They release
get
any
into
more
a-
games there?
let me do a refresh here. See what we got. Okay, at SMU November 1st.
Okay.
So, all right. So that's the first game of November. So there are 4 more games left. NC State, at Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and at Pitt left to play. So still
That
2
Pitt
home
game
and
is
2
usually the last. If then they play them that Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, we've done that a few times, and then didn't play them last year. So
Yeah, that was a Syracuse game.
yeah, well, I'll take Syracuse at home on Thanksgiving and pay them that favor back. Oh, there it goes. Syracuse November 8th dropped in the chat there. So that's a home game. And yeah, so that's week 11, November 8th. So we've got
NC State and Virginia Tech.
NC State and Virginia Tech are left, and at Pitt. So we got at Pitt, at Virginia Tech, and NC State left.
That's a sneaky tough November.
The whole schedule is sneaky. Like we did not get any of we didn't get the Wake Forests and the Dukes and the.
But even Wake
27th
Forest and
is,
Duke proved to be challenging last year, so I don't know.
Yeah, it is a
Wake
challenging schedule. Anyway, you look at it, slow.
Yeah. So still, there's still 2 more road games and another home game here. Is assuming they're going to roll out the rest of the schedule like right now, so we should be able to get to it. Still waiting.
NC State the 15th.
You seeing that?
Yeah,
I'm looking.
that's what.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. There it is. NC State, November 15th. That is our last home game, right?
Oh, it is.
Yep. We're going to
Okay,
finish
then
with
Pitt-
consecutive road games. Those
So Virginia Tech the 22nd and Pitt the 29th.
they put both the bye weeks like 2 weeks apart from each other, and then finished with consecutive road games.
That's so
Unbelievable!
stupid. So stupid.
Unbelievable!
So
That is
if Pitt's the 29th, that's the Thanksgiving weekend because it's the
Yeah.
27th.
Oh wait, no wait, Pitt's still at home. Never mind. It was fake outrage for no reason.
No, but I'm
Also,
just saying, Pitt, if when we play them, if we get them, that'll be Thanksgiving
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah. No, there it is.
Yeah, so
okay,
that's it. We got Pitt on Thanksgiving weekend again.
The 2 bye weeks are absolutely ridiculous. The
Yeah.
placement of those, yeah.
Yep. Good looking out, CMB. Had him in the chat, so I could stop refreshing.
Yeah, right.
The timeline to find him. He was
Right.
live updating us here. All right, so just to recap, we've got open with Notre Dame on Sunday the 31st, then hosting Bethune-Cookman Saturday, September 6th, USF Saturday, September 13th, Florida Saturday, September 20th. Those are all 4 of those games are at home. Bye week at Florida State, another bye week. then at Louisville on Louisville at home, sorry, on Friday the 17th, and then host Stanford on Saturday, October 25th. And then what was next? Oh, at SMU on November 1st. November 8th, we host Syracuse. November 15th, host NC State. November 22nd at Virginia Tech, and then finish November. Actually, I should confirm it's the 29th and not the at Pitt, November 29th. Yes,
That's a tough back half of the schedule.
That is a wait. Are we at Pitt? We should be hosting Pitt, right? Oh no, we're at Pitt. That's right. Yeah. So we're finishing with road games.
That's right.
All right.
At
So
least we'll
yeah.
get a lot of rest in between Florida State.
Well, yeah. So we have 6 of the first 7 games are at home. Actually, 7 of the first 8 are at home. And then we have one out of the last 5. So
I don't like the schedule at all.
yeah, no, this is not great. But we will
Persevere.
yeah, we'll navigate it. We'll go undefeated as always. So yeah, so I guess anyone have any parting thoughts on that before we
I do have my show and tell that's going to take you back a little bit.
All right. Does anyone have any? We're definitely going to do blue show and tell. Does anyone have any other thoughts on the schedule? I think we all kind of are in agreement. Front loaded the home games out of conference and in conference for some reason, and the bye weeks are not ideal in terms of where they put them.
That Notre Dame game has a lot of storylines show up the season. Carson Beck's debut, you get a chance to play Notre Dame. We kind of went over it, but I know it's the first game of the season, but I think that's the one I'm most excited for this year. I think it's going to be a great one and a great test. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I think we have a quarterback that's played in a ton of big games, and that'll be helpful.
Yep.
Notre Dame's change, is going to have to get another quarterback, figure that out. And yeah,
Kane's king.
Can you imagine?
Being in that ACC mode.
Do you know something we don't?
No.
That would require Notre Dame to actually.
I don't call him hitting the portal, Blue. Do you know something we don't know about Haynes King? Because if he's in the portal, we should have taken the
great ACC quarterback Notre Dame has gotten.
Yeah, that's true. All right, ready for some show and tell here, Blue?
Yeah. 1980 season we're going back to.
Okay.
In the 81 Peach Bowl. And look at that media guide.
Wow.
We just don't get that production quality anymore.
Miami beat Miami beat Virginia Tech that year, 20-10. But it's pretty neat how they had all this stuff in there, and
That's
it's all cool. It's all shaped in a peach.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, pretty neat. And then they got the little player stuff in there, and sure Don Bailey Jr.'s in here somewhere. But I thought it was real neat. And they won an award with this, obviously, because it was what an innovative type of thing it was. Somebody offered me $150 for that the other day.
Really?
Because I put it up and they go, "Hey, I'll buy that thing for you now." See, I got that. The Super Bowl program, Super Bowl V, is probably the most prized possession that I have because of the fact that, and I have the Super Bowl I and II. I have all of them early, but the V, what happened was it rained down here in the truck that was carrying the Super Bowl programs crashed on Alligator Alley.
Oh, no.
And so you only got, if you were at the game, you only got the ones that were at the game. They didn't mail them to you or nothing. So that's they're asking like $600-700 for it. It's just that one program.
Now, Blue, is that a Super Bowl 42 thing in the background that I see? I see like a Super Bowl 42 logo in your in the background with the.
I have a bunch of those cushions.
He's got a few things out there.
Back there,
Super Bowl was that 36.
I see Super Bowl 42 over here in the corner.
This is the
like
these were cushions.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They gave out these cushions, and usually you hadn't been there those days. And then I got
Because I remember that Super Bowl 42 with the United States logo, Patriots Rams, back in the day. I remember that
this
one.
one right here was another one. They
Wow.
gave you a lot of good stuff in this one. Because what happened was they gave you a little zip thing in the back that you could put your program in and not get it.
Oh, okay.
And then
This is so cool.
opening day Tampa Bay ever.
That's awesome. Wow.
Little super cushion there. I could sit here all day. There was something else I had. This is a Super Bowl Coca-Cola bottle from Super Bowl 2015 for 13 in Tampa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got a bunch of crap.
Yeah, that's so cool. So
Yeah,
cool.
I have a lot of University of Miami stuff. But
I love all this stuff. I really do. I love collecting.
Oh, and I'll tell you that probably my buddy got this for me, and it's a Cincinnati Reds Budweiser can, and
Wow.
they
Wow.
were. Let me tell you something. For just this one, $30,
Whoa.
because they didn't make very many of them, and it's got the logo on it, and I have a bunch of crap like that. I could probably do a show and tell thing the whole night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. We are headed to the off season, so that does feel like an
Yeah,
off-season activity.
we may have to do that
Yeah.
with that schedule every other week.
I know. We might save it for the bye week. Save it for
I'd have to.
chop it
Yeah,
up into
this is-
both bye weeks and have something for the bye week shows.
This is a program during the perfect season
Oh, wow. Wow.
with Don Shula on it.
That's so cool.
I have people robbing my house tonight, and this is a University of Miami 1973 against Florida.
They don't make programs like that anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. These things, when we were younger, these were like the best to collect. And I mean, and the best thing is they used to give you like the opposing teams' pictures,
Yeah.
and they don't do that anymore. I think Nat Moore's in this one. And if I sometimes what I'll do is I'll take these programs if there's like Dolphins or Hurricanes that I know. Like I got a Terry Kirby to sign one that he was on the cover of, and Bo Camper and Larry Little, and yeah. And when we were kids, like I was saying the story, I was telling somebody this the other day. Actually, I was on a podcast, and I was telling them, when we were kids, we used to go to the hotels. They used to let you go to the hotels. I mean, there's like now you can't get within Bernard. Believe me, Bernard, I can make it feel a lot younger. But when we were kids, we would go to the University of Miami would play on Friday. So on a Thursday night or a Thursday, the opposing team would arrive like 5, and then what they do is they work, run through the Orange Bowl, and then they come into the hotel, and we sat there with Bear Bryant for an hour and a half when Alabama came. Bear Bryant, Steve Sloan, all these guys, and we got in that day only because my friend's mom, she worked for like one of these boat tours, and Alabama took the boat tour, so we got tipped off that they'd be there, and that was pretty neat. At the time, Bear Bryant was Bear Bryant, but we didn't know he was legendary back then. But that was it. And the Dolphins.
That's cool. Yeah.
And my biggest story I was telling to this guy, 1970 rookie year for O.J. Simpson, when we went to see the Buffalo Bills at their hotel, the Kenilworth Hotel on Miami Beach, and we got there, and as soon as they walked in, they were a little bit late, and I think they had a late flight in, but we got up to the room we were in a room of one of the players, and here comes O.J. Simpson, Al Cowlings, Haven Moses, all into this room, you know, and they were talking on this phone, trying to make plans to go out. And the buses stopped running at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, you know, where I was and we didn't have cell phones, obviously. And my mom would have killed me if I would have called her that late. So Al Cowlings, Haven Moses, and O.J. Simpson gave us a ride. And
That's awesome.
Let me tell you something. I was in the back seat, Vish. I got like 10 because I'm big, you know, grew up as a big UFC fan. And OJ, I got like, he was signing everything. He didn't, yeah. So I still got all that stuff, you know. I mean, I know that a lot of people hate him, and that's fine. I mean,
no, it's good to have. Like,
I mean, you just told the story where you got into a car with Al Cowlings and O.J. Simpson.
I know. Me and my buddy we were in the back seat with O.J. Simpson, and I'm thinking, man, this is crazy. And they took us all the way to, like, you know, to far, not about 2 miles from where we lived, and. You know, then my mom didn't mind picking us up, but because she was going to pick us up anyway from that location, but she wasn't going to come all the way to the beach. But we did that bunch of times. Terry Bradshaw's rookie year, he was rooming with this kicker, Roy Girella, and we followed Roy Girella up to his room. We were sitting on the edge of his bed and getting things signed. And yeah, you can't even get within 10 miles of these hotels now.
I was going to say, you can't do that now.
But people don't realize what a great growing up. I mean, we meant no harm. All we did was want to get autographs. Yeah. And although my friend Bob wasn't, so big Alabama fan, and they used to have a place called Miami Military Academy, and that's where a lot of the teams worked out. And Alabama, for their bowl game, worked out. And my friend Bob and I went back at night, and he broke into the Alabama locker room. And to this day, he still got John Hanna's helmet. You know, so
Patriots legend, John Hanna.
Yeah, Patriot legend, and we and you know, we went to watch Cincinnati Reds in Tampa when they practiced, and they used to throw out hats and stuff after the practices because you know they get new ones, and Jesus, I got Frank Robinson's hat, and yeah, so you know what, people thought we were nuts at the time, not so much now.
No, you have great stories to tell.
But those things, and these people were like really intrigued when I was telling all these stories, and they, oh my God, you got to come on again. And yeah, because I mean, to us, it was really nothing. It was just like, you know, we were kids having fun, and, you know, and it wasn't like we were breaking any rules, and we weren't breaking into any hotels. And yeah, it was great. It was a good time. And it was kind of, you know what, I'll tell you what, Bernard asked a question here. I got the biggest thrill when I was 19 years old, and I went to school with Jimmy Dundee, who was Ali's trainers, and I asked Jimmy, I said, you know, it'd be neat if I could get a interview one-on-one with Muhammad Ali, and he goes, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I said, okay. Well, on a Saturday morning, he calls him up. He goes, if you could be down at the Fifth Street Gym at 4:30. Ali will be out there working out, and I'll tell my dad, and man, me and him just one-on-one for like 30 minutes with a little tape recorder and everything. Yeah. So that's I did see him work out, and that was probably the biggest interview I ever got in my whole life by far. But, you know, I grew up as a Tom Seaver fan, but when I got a chance to talk to him, he wasn't so nice. So he's but that was it, you know. I mean,
they say to never meet your heroes.
No, you know what? The nicest guy that I ever met, and you probably guys maybe not have heard him. His name was Toby Harrah. He used to play for the Indians. He played, but unusual. Toby Harrah's name was spelled the same way both ways, Harrah. You know, so I asked him to cut a spot for our. You know, we covered the games on WKAT when I worked there, and he was the nicest guy ever. He says, how many do you need? I mean, you know, guys like that. Walt Garrison, who used to coach the Denver Broncos. When I worked at
the Cowboys, right?
The Cowboys too, yeah. And he came on the show on a Thursday night. They were playing the Dolphins that Saturday in an exhibition game. And he was on the show for 40 minutes, I swear. And then when I saw him that Saturday, I walked up to him and he goes, "Hey, Larry, how you doing?" I had never met the man in my life. And he kind of like knew who I was. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, that was when you're like 20 years old. That's impressive. But that's it. I think I killed enough time.
I could listen to you talk these
I know.
stories
I
all
mean,
day.
this is gold. Anyone that's
This is
not
more,
watching this
this is more interesting than what we did.
Yeah, no, this is
Yeah,
something else.
there's one day I'll just bring out a bunch of different, you know, stuff. I know you're a big Cowboys fan. I got some stuff, even though I've been a Ram fan since I was a little kid. And
How about Patriots stuff? You got any Patriots stuff?
I got a lot of Patriot programs and stuff back in the day when they were the Boston Patriots.
Yep.
And their logo was a whole lot different. And Miami used to kill them, you know, like back in the early 70s.
I love the Pat Patriot logo. I love it. I wish they would bring it back permanently.
I'll tell you what, you know, I mean, when Nick Monicani played for them, for the Patriots. And I got all that. And I got media guides too from all those eras. And I mean, I was looking the other day, I was cleaning stuff out. Vish, I have freaking CFL media guides from like the 70s and the 80s. I have Marv Levy when he was coaching up there. And here he is, 99.
I mean, you should just start your own museum.
No, but baseball media guys, what I have the most, I have, you know, back in the 60s and when, because I grew up a Met fan, but I always liked the Orioles because they were down here. And back in the 80s is when they were winning and they had all those great teams and stuff. And they would come to the Miami, you know, work at a Miami baseball stadium. And Jim Palmer, I don't know if you remember Jim Palmer, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you never watch him play, but Jim Palmer used to do advertisements for Jockey underwear. And they sent him at the end of spring like 10 boxes of undershorts and underwear, and he was gone already. And my buddies who worked at the stadium, Sonny Hurst, the great Sonny Hurst, said, "He ain't going to come back for him. Why don't you just take him?" I will tell you this. I wore Jim Palmer's underwear and shorts for like 2 years. That's how many there were. And yeah, it was crazy stuff. And I got a Cal Ripken signed, Cal Ripken Sr. signed bat here, something that he used to hit fungos with when he was a coach with the Orioles. So,
oh wow,
yeah, I got some stuff, but that's it. Next week we'll break down the schedule with
get
your boy
Jazz's thoughts and just coming up on the 5 reasons schedule at Buckets on Wednesday, and we are formulating a baseball preview from the team store coming up in the next couple of weeks. So
it should be pretty good this year.
Stay tuned for that. We'll see. There's a lot of new faces, so we'll see how well JD can put them together. There's definitely some raw talent there. Turn the whole roster over pretty much. So
I remember last year at the end of the year when they lost Blake, you guys are going, "Oh, this is gonna be awful," and then here you go.
Hope springs eternal. It'll distract me from basketball at least. So anyway, we're gonna have Buckets on Wednesday. Canes on Deck coming up, I think, in the next couple of weeks from the team stores. So definitely, we'll announce that if you're out there, you can come see us in person. And then every Friday we've got this show right here that you just watched, and you never know. You show up for scheduled talk, you end up with Blue talking about riding in a car with
much more interesting stuff, though. So
which is that's why you got to stay to the end. They missed out.
That's right.
You missed out. But anyway, we'll be back next week. As I said, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the schedule, see if we can figure out why they decide to put all of our bye weeks in a row. And don't know that we're going to get an acceptable answer on that. But anyway, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again next week. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one, everyone.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.